I'm here with three generations of the Buffett family. Legendary investor Warren Buffett, his son, philanthropist Howard G. Buffett, who is the author of the new book, 40 Chances, as well as Warren's grandson, Howard W. Buffett, who contributed to the book. It's so nice to see all three of you together.
Thank you.
And I'm going to call you HWB, because that's what we do in the book, and it will make it easier with
it's
two
better than
Howards.
what I call them.
Well, Howard G., I'm going to start with you because you're ready to go. 40 Chances is essentially a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call in the fight against hunger, in philanthropy. Why did you write the book? And, of course, tell us why you had that title.
Well, I wrote the book because I just felt like I'd had enough experiences, and a lot of those experiences are in failure. And I thought, if I can share the things that didn't work, then other people won't make the same mistakes. And then I also, as you begin to see that there's a sense of timing to this. There's an urgency that needs to happen. And so I felt like, it's an opportunity to try to just share information, share experiences. And the title came out of I was down at our John Deere dealer in the winter getting a session on how to plant better, and one of the speakers says, you guys are going about this all wrong. You think of this as, a continual season after season. And he said, really, you need to think about the fact that every year is an opportunity. Every year is a chance. And you only really get about 40 good crop seasons. And I walked away from that. I immediately thought, I wasted like 10. So now I have to get more serious. And then I thought, that applies to life as well. And, by the time you get through school and get a little experience, you begin to probably have about, I always feel funny saying this in front of my dad because he's had about 80 chances, but
I needed him.
But 40 good years to really try to make a change or reach your goals.
All right, HWB. Did your dad really have failures? You've been traveling with him since you were a kid,
How much time
a
do you
teenager.
have?
But what did you learn as you were traveling with your dad and from his alleged failures?
Well, I have a less pessimistic view, particularly about traveling around with my dad and seeing what he's done, because we've spent the last 15 years going around the world together, and those really are the stories that are in 40 Chances and what we've done together, and we've learned an incredible amount together, and there's no denying that. But, I like to think that one of the reasons I'm so fortunate in life is because I have the two best possible role models you could ever ask for, and we get to sit around Dairy Queen together, for family brunch and just chat about what's going on in life. But, for me, I've seen what my grandfather's been able to accomplish in a lifetime, and I've seen what my father has been able to do and to change the lives for so many people around the world. And for me, that's the greatest lesson of them all.
I've seen your grandfather eat those dilly
The dilly
bars
bars.
too. So. And Warren, I want to turn to you. What's harder, your job making money or your son and grandson's job giving it away?
Oh, my job's way easier because in business, you look for the easy problems to solve. I mean, you buy successful companies. You get the pick of management talent and seeing how they performed before. In philanthropy, you're really looking for difficult problems. You're looking for problems that have defied intelligence and lots of money sometimes in the past. If you don't do that, you're not looking at anything important. So you have to expect a lot of failure in philanthropy. But if you do one important thing or two important things over a lifetime, it can affect millions of people. So it's worth the failures, it's worth the effort, but it's much, much harder to affect real change in philanthropy through philanthropy than it is to run a successful business.
Howard, does this explain why the problem of hunger has yet to be eradicated? I mean, we know the story. We're in this wealthy country, and we know there's food that gets thrown out. Why are we in this situation here where you've made it a passion of yours to travel around the world to try to figure this out? Why hasn't it been solved, and how does it get solved?
Well, you have to look, I think, at developed countries a little different than developing countries. The issues aren't exactly the same. So, in this country, the fact that we have 50 million, food insecure or hungry people at any one time it's shameful. I mean, we produce plenty of food, but it's so complex. It even gets into the debate about immigration in terms of there's a lot of wasted food because we don't have the labor to pick it, and that's true all across this country. And people don't realize it. It's true in Georgia, and it's true in Minnesota. And so you get drug into the policies of whether it's immigration or whether it's a SNAP program or whatever. And so, in this country, it's really about political will. It's really about I mean, we know how to do it. We're just not getting it done. And if you move across the globe to Africa or something, it's a very different problem. It's much more complex there because you don't have all the infrastructure, you don't have the governance in place, you have a lot of corruption. So those things all add to the difficulty of solving the problem. I mean, if it was easy, it would have been done. There's been a lot of money spent on it. But what we're trying, in 40 Chances, what we're trying to do is say, here's the things we've learned that have worked well, or the people that are doing things that are really changing things. And here's the things that haven't worked. And let's not continue to, it's amazing how we continue to do the same thing over and over. I think it was Churchill, was it? No, it was Einstein who said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And we do that in philanthropy. It's very frustrating.
HWB, what's the one story from the book that illustrates something being done very well, something that you're proud of that the family was involved in, that while every case is different, that perhaps people can look at as a model to think differently?
Sure. Well, Howard and I spent time. My dad. I get confused which is which sometimes. I used to sign
I'm your
his
grandfather.
name. Yeah, right.
Be nice to him.
Yeah, that's true. My dad and I traveled to Afghanistan a few times, and I was able to spend about a year doing work there as well. And it was a transformative experience for me. We spent a lot of time listening to folks on the ground, what they needed, and allowing them to really drive the design of the programs we were putting in place, and then trying to set it up so that those community members would end up owning the outcome, so that they would become more like shareholders than just beneficiaries of the process we were putting into place. And this was all around agriculture development, because 3/4 of the world's poor live in rural areas where agriculture is the primary activity, and it's 3 times more effective than almost any other kind of investment to raise people out of poverty. And so we learned a lot of lessons with what we did in Afghanistan, and it was definitely not a chance wasted.
Warren, you've put a big emphasis, along with your late wife, on philanthropy, and you've really instilled that evidence sitting here. When you look at what's happening in this country or other wealthy countries, are people doing enough? Are they giving enough? Is there something amiss more broadly?
Well, we have a very philanthropic society. It's 2% of GDP. That doesn't sound like much, but it beats any other country you'll find. More of it goes to churches than anything else. And I believe in individual choice, obviously, in philanthropy. In the last couple of years, I've done some work. Bill Gates has done more work in terms of trying to get people to join the Giving Pledge, and we've been successful beyond my expectations. We've got 115 people that have got anywhere from $1 billion up to a lot larger number who have agreed to give 50% or more, and in most cases more, to philanthropy. So I'm hoping that example leads people in the next generation and the generation after that to think about philanthropy and both earlier, bigger, and I think it will. I think norms do change in society. I think what Carnegie and Rockefeller and Rosenwald and those people did close to 100 years ago has an influence on what people are doing now. And so I think it's going in the right direction. And I don't believe in telling other people what to do, but we've got particularly at the top, we have a very wealthy society. The Forbes 400 this year had $2 trillion and $20 billion. And that is a lot of money for 400 people to have. In fact, I call these people up, and when sometimes they say, I'm really not quite ready to do it yet, and they have at least $1 billion. So I think maybe I should write a book on how to get by on 500 million. Because all I'm asking for is half.
You can add the name Buffett to that long list of Carnegie and the others that you mentioned.
Well, it doesn't make any difference what the name is, but what counts are results. And I'm fortunate in that I've got a lot of money, and it's happened over a long period of time. But I've also got terrific people, particularly in my 3 children, that are bringing a passion and energy and youth to giving it away effectively, and much better job than I could do. I'm still having a lot of fun making it.
It's a serious subject, but who's the best joke teller of the 3? I'm just curious.
Well, you just keep
Yeah.
going that way.
Well, I appreciate your time in speaking with me. It is a very important topic. It was great to see all 3 of you sitting together in one room. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Rhonda Schaffler. This is Reuters.